What's up, everybody? It's your favorite show, Get a Bucket. I'm your host, Train, as usual. I hope you're all having a wonderful, wonderful day. Now, you know how this goes. Today, we're going to talk about the 06-07 Cavaliers squad. Reason why? Well, a couple things. One, I've been hearing some slander about that team, right? Meanwhile, this year's squad, the 2024-2025 Cavs team, I've been hearing some praise. And it's very funny to me because I think, granted, right, the Cavs squad, when we talking about them, you got to give them some sort of props, right? Like they have been hooping a little bit, okay? So they are currently number one in the East, a half a game away from being number one in the league. So someone might say, hey, they could be contenders. I think it's fair to call them a contender, but throw a pretender contender, like something like that. Like I wouldn't call them, like they're not my strongest candidates to win the championship this season, but you can give them a little praise, right? That 06-07 Cavs team gets nothing but slander. Hell, that's part of the reason why Bron gets called the greatest of all time by some players. Oh, he carried that 07 Cavs team to the finals, and they were bums and blah 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 blah. All right, cool. I'm gonna just say this right now. Stop disrespecting that 07 Cavs team. Like they were actually a lot better than what people give them credit for. A lot better. Like, let's go ahead and compare them to some teams that made the playoffs that season, right? The Cavs made the playoffs too. Again, they went to the finals, ladies and gentlemen. Bron was on the team, but he was hooping. You got to tip your cap to him. Not taking away from Bron. I'm highlighting the other 14 players on the roster. They weren't that bad. So let's talk about the Cavaliers, right? The Pistons, the Nets, the Spurs, who ended up winning it that season, and the Lakers. Keep in mind, Cavs were 50-32. The Pistons, who went to the semifinals, 53-29. The Nets, where'd they go? I forget where they went ultimately. I think second round, 41-41. The Spurs, like I said, they won it. They were 58-24. And my Lakers at that time, we were 42-40. All right. So how I'm breaking this down, this comparison, I'm going to try to keep it basic, a little high level-ish, right? Everyone loves to focus on points, rebounds, assists, steals, blocks. Those are the 5 basic stats that people follow. If you look at box scores, right, that's what they follow. Some people do say field goal efficiency, 3-point efficiency, and then free throws as well, all this other stuff. These are the typical ones, right? So in the NBA, I'm measuring the top 50 for points, rebounds, assists, steals, and blocks, okay? For scoring, the Nets, they had 1. Vince Carter was number 9. Detroit, they had 2 people in the top 50. Again, Richard Hamilton, Rip, it was his nickname, number 28 out of 50. And Chauncey Billups, he was number 51. Now, keep in mind, for all of these stats, there were some people who did not quite reach my game threshold. So these numbers might technically shift up and down. So I gave people a little grace period if they were in that 50 to 55 slot. Just keep that in mind. All right. There was a 4 to 5 people drop off typically. The Detroit Pistons, like I said, had 2. The Spurs had 3 people. Tim Duncan at number 26, Tony Parker at number 36, Manu at 57. So, Manu was cool. He could be a little questionable. You could say 2 to 3. You could say 2 to 3, right? So we talked about the Nets, Detroit, and Pistons and the Spurs. The Cavs had 2. So again, the Nets had 1, Detroit had 2, Spurs had 2 to 3. The Cavs had 2 top 50 scores. And LeBron James at number 4 and Larry Hughes at number 49. All right. So people who are saying, hey, Bron didn't have anybody else. Well, he had a top 50 score on his squad. My Lakers had 1 person. He was Kobe Bean Bryant. He was number 1 scorer of that league, of the league that season. Talk to me, baby. Now, let's go ahead and talk about elite rebounding. Again, the Cavs squad didn't have anybody according to people, right? And we're comparing them to those teams that made the playoffs. So the Nets for rebounding, Remember, top 50, might be a little generous on the 50-55. The Nets had 2 players, Jason Kidd, who ranked number 28 out of 50, and Nanad Kristic, who ranked number 50 out of 50. Shout out to Nanad, right? Barely making the cut, but he made it. Detroit had 1, Rasheed Wallace at number 39, which is crazy to think about, but cool, we here. The Spurs had 1, and we're talking about rebounders, ladies and gentlemen. That was Tim Duncan. He was number 10. My Lakers had 1 rebounder in the top 50. That was Lamar Odom at number 16. The Cavs had 2 to 4 top 50 rebounders. And again, based on my stats, based on my criteria, we're going to give them 4, right? Drew Gooden, number 26. Zydrunas Ilgauskas, Big Z is what we call him, number 34, all right? Anderson Varejao, number 52. And LeBron James, number 51. Keep in mind, Big Z, he was an all-star 2 seasons prior to this very season. And then 2 seasons prior to that. So 03 and 05, he was, all-stars. But it's okay, though. It is what it is, right? Cavs didn't have nobody. They had, again, equivalent scoring and actually, the most rebounding out of the 5 teams that we've listed. But again, y'all are saying that the Cavs didn't have nobody. Let's go down to playmaking, assists, right? The Nets, again, talking about top 50, 50 to 55 is that threshold will allow a little grace period. The Nets had 2 players in the top 50. Jason Kidd at number 3. Man, was hooping that season, won't he? And then Vince Carter at number 36. The Detroit Pistons had 1 playmaker, Chauncey Billups, in the top 10, number 10. The Spurs had 1 playmaker in the top 50. That was Tony Parker, number 22. Here's the thing that tripped me out a little bit. My Lakers had 2 players in the top 15 playmaking-wise. That was Kobe at number 25 and Lamar at number 35. I'm just saying. People who said Kobe won a playmaker, holla at your boy. Now, these Cavs, they had 2 top 50 assisters as well. LeBron James at number 17, and then Eric Snow at number 54. So I'm just saying, again, they comparable rebounding, scoring, and playmaking so far. But y'all say, though, Bron carried the squad. All right, cool. Let's talk about steals. We at number 4 now in the basic stats out of the 5. Remember that. In terms of steals, and we're talking about those 5 playoff teams right now, right? 50 to 55 is that threshold ranking-wise that will allow these grace period. The Nets in the 07 series had 1 player in the top 50 steals. That was Jason Kidd, number 17. Detroit had 1 person in top 50 for steals. That was Chauncey Billups at number 41. The Spurs had 1 as well, Manu Ginobili for number 23. At number 23. The Lakers, my Lakers, we actually had 2. Smush Parker, ironically, at number 24, and Kobe Bryant at, ironically, number 25. Like, it was kind of funny. I thought that was very interesting. The Cavs, they had 2 as well in the top 50 for steals. LeBron James at number 16, and then Larry Hughes at number 34. But again, Bron ain't have nobody. Okay. I mean, I hear it. Sound nice. But again, he ain't have nobody. How about for the 5th one? Top 50 blockers, right? For the Nets in 07, they had 1 person in the top 50 in blocks. That was Mickey Moore. He was number 43. The Detroit Pistons had 3 players in the top 50 for blocks. That was Rasheed Wallace, number 17, Antonio McDyess, number 41, and Tayshaun Prince, number 49. The Spurs had 2 players, Tim Duncan at number 5 and Francisco Elson at number 36. The Lakers, my Lakers, we had 2 players. Andrew Bynum at number 15. He was young, and you know what I'm saying? I miss Bynum. And then Ronnie Turiaf, number 32. Now, these Cavs, they had 1 person. So, like, finally, they're on the lower side of these rankings in these 5 teams because they had 1 person that was Big Z at number 25 in top 50 blocks, right? All right. So again, Bron had no help getting to the finals. Bron didn't have a good team. How about double-digit scorers, okay? Now, surprisingly, my Lakers had 4, all right? The Nets, they had 5. The Pistons, they had 5. The Spurs, they had 3. The Cavaliers, they had 4. And if I'm honest with you, one more person averaged 9 points a game. So they almost had 5 players averaging double digit scoring that season. But again, Braun drugged that team to the finals. Do not get me wrong, ladies and gentlemen. LeBron James had a phenomenal season that season. Like, you cannot sit up here and talk about LeBron James having a down year that year. All right. Anybody, he gave 27, 6 assists, and 7 rebounds, 1.6 steals, and 0.7 blocks for the season. Then during the playoffs, he gave 25 points, 8 assists, 8 rebounds, 1.7 steals, and 0.5 blocks. Again, for the playoffs. That ain't bad. And it's not like he was hacking. He was only averaging 2 fouls. Mind you, you get 6. So Buddy was hooping, but so were other players on his team. His team was pretty solid. So again, when we say that Braun carried this Cavaliers squad, ladies and gentlemen, we got to stop being unfair to them. We really, truly do. Again, 2 top 50 scorers, while Detroit and the Spurs had 2 to 3. Elite rebounding for me, because they had the most rebounders in the top 50 out of those 5 teams. Playmaking, they were sitting at the top, tied with the Nets and my Lakers for number 2. The steals, they were tied with my Lakers again for number 2. And blocks, they were finally at the bottom of the barrel with the Nets, who again were a solid playoff team. And they were one person away from having a tie with the Nets for double-digit scores on the squad. Ladies and gentlemen, if y'all have heard this episode about the Cavs squad, and you still feel as though that Cavs squad was completely dragged by LeBron James, I don't know what to tell you. That just means you truly are a LeBron fan and you don't want to listen to reason. Again, I'm not saying LeBron James didn't do his thing. I'm saying y'all have to give these boys they just do. Similarly to how we give the 2024-2025 Cavs team they just do. Don't get me wrong. Talent-wise, might be a little bit better across the board for this year's Cavs team than the 7 squad. I hear you. You still got it. Like, it's not like Donovan Mitchell is carrying the team. Everybody even played their positions well, even last season before. Like, these boys have been hooping well, playing as a solid team. Yeah, they losing early. Talking about this year's Cavs, this iteration's Cavs. Yes, they've been losing a little early, but they played a role. That Cavs team in 2007 played their role as well. And they went to the finals. Shout out to Braun for helping them get there. But they definitely did their thing too. So that 2007 squad deserved that record that they got and deserved way more praise than what they get. But ladies and gentlemen, I want to hear from you what you think about this. Do y'all still feel like that 06-07 Cavs squad was dragged by LeBron James? Or are you giving them a little bit more love after hearing the breakdown, again, of those top 5 stats? Stats ain't everything, I'll give you. But that's got to give you something to say, you know what, Braun had more help than we thought. But I would love to hear y'all thoughts. So please like, subscribe, comment, tell anyone about the show. My name is Trey. I'm the host of Get a Bucket. Hope you all are having a good one. Take care.